We're now in the Tefillah, Ois, Tzadik Ches, Tzadik Hey. There's a relationship that is more important than all other relationships. The entire human experience is about relationship. The entire creation is about relationship. Everything that exists is a relationship. And relationships have a specific form, certain qualities, and they're identical in all relationships. And so when we say that life is a metaphor, what is it a metaphor to? It's a metaphor to the relationship between creator and creation. Why do we need so many metaphors? In order to explain to us the relationship, because with all these metaphors, we can still get it wrong. So that's called Mishomar Le'olam Edai, El Shaddai. What does it mean, die? What does it mean that this world was enough? It's enough that if you don't pay attention, you will misunderstand the relationship. And it's also enough that if you do pay attention, you will be able to understand the relationship. That's what it means, enough. Enough means it's not too close and it's not too far. It's not too close, it's not too easy. Why? Because the righteous need to be challenged. The wisdom of the soul needs to be challenged. The attribute of compassion needs to be challenged. And so in order to challenge it, the world has to become developed enough, complex enough, the metaphor has to go distant enough, so that it's possible to completely forget the meaning of things. And that will challenge the wisdom, that will challenge the attributes. But if the challenge will be too big, then it will be impossible to remember. It will be impossible. Now we're in such a place that based on the intelligence that we currently attain, and based on the complexity of the metaphor, it's literally impossible for most of us to break the code. We're so far from understanding this relationship, it's almost impossible for us to discover the real way of managing this relationship. But this happened due to us. This happened due to humanity. Humanity made it complex because we wanted to take advantage of each other. We wanted to enslave each other. We wanted people working for us and doing things for us. We made life very complicated. And when life became so complicated, it literally became impossible to remember the relationship and what is the real nature of it. How do you really have a healthy relationship? And all healthy relationships are there to model for us the relationship that we have with the source, the relationship between creator and creation. So if we don't have a single healthy relationship, then our relationship with source is for sure completely contaminated. If we have healthy relationships, then this is a metaphor, and therefore we can hold on to some type of healthiness in the ultimate relationship. And we are sparks within a greater whole. We're neurons within a greater brain. As the neurons think, that's how the entire brain is going to decide. As the humans perceive, so the Shekhinah is receiving her unification, which is based on her relationship. Her relationship with her source, from where she receives life. We, the neurons in her brain, are in charge of making sure that we understand the relationship accurately, because then she can heal her relationship. if we abandon the meaning of things, if we lose access to the metaphor, then she loses access. Her brain is what turns away. And then the shefa, the abundance, the life, the desire of source to create doesn't come forth the same way, doesn't come forth with the same intensity, with the same joy, with the same security, with the same pride. And so it's all about this relationship. It all comes back to this relationship. This is all there really is. This is all there ever was. Every organ is a relationship. With every organ we have a relationship. The eyes create relationships with things, with people, with everything that we see. There's a relationship. That's why we have an eye. We have an eye because there's a relationship between the one who dwells within the body and what's happening around the body. How we're going to manage this relationship? We're going to create senses. So the senses are managing the relationship. And then we have the capacity to think, which is beyond the senses. And thinking is how we manage the relationship with the spiritual entities, with the concepts, with the angels that create order, with the angels that tell us what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong. In the heart, we manage all our relationships. Why do we manage in the heart all our relationships? Because the heart is the king of all the organs. And so all the relationships that are happening within all the organs are being managed by the heart. Therefore, it's the seat of emotion. And over there, we feel our emotions. Of all the things that are happening, of everything that's taking place, of all the people you know, and all of reality that you've already realized, how do you feel about that? The only way to know is to ask the heart. No one else knows. Everybody's just doing their part in the dance, but what's the heart going to say after everybody's doing their part? They don't know. Only the heart can know. The organs that relate to the air that we breathe are keeping alive our relationship to the source of life. If we lose access to that relationship, the process is over. And the organs of digestion relate to the relationship that we have with the food that we eat, which is essentially the earth that we're standing on. This is how we're gaining sustenance from the planet that we're living on. And so there's a relationship with the collective that's happening through the food. The individual body, the one that dwells within, is receiving sustenance. From where is he receiving sustenance? From the collective. Unlike today, when we think, oh, I'm buying it from a human being. No, a human being has nothing to do with it. He's just a delivery boy. It's coming from the collective. That's the only one who can give food. That's why we're supposed to bless when we eat food, is to remember that we get our food from the collective. We don't get our food from human beings. Human beings have no food to give. They can give us speech. That's a different type of food. And that's the ultimate manager of all our relationships. And that's an even more important type of food. It's a food for the soul. But the physical food is coming from the collective. No humans involved. Food created by humans should not be consumed. They cannot be good for us. Because whatever humans do good on one side, humans are not smart enough to realize the damage they're doing on the other side. Humans don't yet know how to get along with the balance that created them. And so while they're trying to help one thing, they're losing sight of the other side and they're hurting another thing. And maybe many other things. And as soon as there's no balance, things have already been hurt. It's only a matter of time until humans somehow have less as a result. And so all the relationships together result in the relationship with the source. The source is everything. Every relationship is part of the relationship with source. There isn't someone we could say, no, but that person, I understand they don't represent source, therefore it doesn't matter. No, in your experience, you have one soul. Everything that soul experiences represents a relationship with source. There's nothing else. There's no one else. There's no other way. There's no other thing. Even if another person is misrepresenting source, so then source is allowing himself to be misrepresented. That's also source. It's all relationship with source. And the relationship is meant to be led mida keneged mida. It's meant to be dealt that in the way that we receive, we return. If we don't do in the way that we receive, we return, then the world gets more and more corrupt. People take advantage. But this can only be when there is a truth. When we know a certain truth, then we can measure for measure. Because we don't know the truth, we can't measure for measure. We have to measure in a way that causes the least amount of offense. Because who knows what's the truth? Who knows if what I'm basing things on is really accurate? So he says, regarding the prayer, when we start praying, we are coming closer to this relationship. We're returning. We're trying to awaken the intimacy between creator and creation. And so when creation comes to awaken the creator, this is like when the awakening comes for intimacy from the side of the woman. And so when creation awakens, then that's called Ma'im Nukfim. Ma'im Nukfim means the desire that comes from a female to attach herself to the intimacy. And that's the process of awakening the dibur that's going to come later, when there is an interaction between the two, when there's interaction between the bride and the groom. And there's a form of unification where the speech is coming from both of them at once. In the process of the unification, it's Shchina midaberes mitoch groinoi, which means that the same physical entity that previously was carrying the Shekhinah and was a part of creation that we know, like everybody, suddenly also became a carrier for creator, for the creative energy, for the masculine energy that creates. And so now that expression comes out of the yichud. It comes from a body that inside of it are two souls that are uniting as one. A soul that represents the Shekhinah, the soul that we know, and also, in addition to that, a spirit from the Creator that animates that soul, that's uniting with that soul. And then that speech is prophecy, because it's the speech of the male. It's not just the speech of the female. The female is then united with the male, and the male is speaking. That's the definition of prophecy. And so he says, שמעתי ממורי בין תפילת היום שיהיה על דרך דיסה אני מאור השחר ואין השחר מאור ראשי. I awaken the morning and the morning doesn't awaken me. שיתרח ויגע בהדרוג עד ברוך שומר שנגד אוהל המעשייה שלמטה מוקם הקליפוס. And so as he's starting to daven, he's going through the phases of awakening the Shekhinah, of awakening his awareness in order to remember who he's interacting with. And so in the first phase of his awakening, he's going to face the demons. He's going to face the klippas. He's going to face all the parts of him that are in denial of the truth. And by them being in denial of the truth, they're making him weak. They're taking away his power. That's why he doesn't remember who he is. In that state, if he's going to pray, he's not even going to believe that what he's saying is making a difference. And so guess what? It's not going to make a difference. And so he needs to awaken the female first, which is the Shekhinah side. And for that, he starts in the Olam Asiyah, where all the klippas are convincing him that reality is something else. And he's starting to work his way through them and realizing that no, there is only one, and he is in charge of it all, and he is alive in it all. And there's no other. There never was any other, and there never will be any other. There's nothing that's contradicting his power. If I'm alive and open to him, then I will receive his power. And if for whatever reason I choose to close myself down, then I'll have less of his power. But there's no other. There's no other force. There's no other entity. It's him that gives life to all. And he gave us the power. Because he gave us the power and we're not yet at a level of wisdom to know how to wield that power, the result is that there are things that seem to be from another side, from another place. These things are our lack of understanding, our lack of compassion, our lack of wisdom, our lack of sensitivity to the nature of what is. There we are causing an evil side. There we are causing something that shouldn't be to come into existence. But the one that is, he is the source of it all. That we have to realize before we can go into praying. Before we can try to speak as him, we first need to realize who is him, and how is it that I am him, and how is it that it doesn't feel like I am him. All these things have to become clear in our mind as we're facing our demons. We're facing all those angels who are contradicting reality within our mind. They're saying lies to us, and they're so constant with their lies that to us it seems the truth. To us the opposite seems like a lie. The truth seems like a lie to us because we're so used to the lies that we have in our mind. And so to pray, we need to leave the world of lies and go to the world of truth. And so we start by the Olam Asiyah, which is the lowest level of the things that we are concerned with and busy with, all the practical issues. This is going to be the first layer when we go inward, is just the basic things of the money. Do we have enough? Do we need to cover something? Or do we need to pay certain bills? Or do we need to take care of certain errands? Or do we have tasks at work? So all this is Olam Asiyah. All this is within the soul, the category that is not really related to its essence. It's related to its action and to its manifestation. It's related to the other. It's related to the relationship with the collective. And not just the relationship, but the most external part of that relationship. The very practical survival part. And so there's a lot of klippas. That's the hardest part to go through. Because that part, it's not humane. It's not working in a way that is reasonable or could make sense, or if you think deeper then you're going to realize why it's so. No, it's just broken. It is what it is. We have to deal with it. We have to get through it. But that place is where the klippas have the most power, because there's no compassion in that place. It's a practical place. You either do or you don't, and then whatever will happen will happen. And so you have to break through that layer. The soul needs to realize that this is not representative of what reality is. And so we want to go beyond this level of this way of seeing reality, because in this way of seeing reality we're helpless. It's true. If we look at reality just from the level of Asiyah, then the world is drowning, people are not doing it right, and they have no intention of changing their ways either. It's just the way it is. And so a person has to be able to transcend that level of klippas and go beyond that. Hang on. It's true, but that's not all of life. That's just one aspect of life. Life is a lot more than that. ואחר כך יכאב מיוסם בברך שומר עד ישתבח. Then from ברך שומר to ישתבח is the olam hayetzira. So there we're starting to praise because we're waking up the emotions. Olam hayetzira is the olam of speech and emotion. And then, so we go deeper. We say the external world is what it is. But I have a relationship with the internal world. I have a relationship with the source. So I want to focus on my relationship with the source. How do you focus on the relationship with the source? You praise. All the hallelujahs are to help our relationship with the source, to heal our relationship with the source. That's why they're called zmiris. Zmiris is a lotion of zemir, of cutting off. It's the cutting off the klippos. You're cutting off the demons who tell you that there's some evil intent, there's something out to get you, there's somewhere someone hiding that's going to hurt you in some way. And through the praise and remembering the nature of creation and the way that everything was designed to perfection, we remember that no, there is no such thing. Our mind can be that thing if we believe the demons. But in reality, there's no such thing. The angels don't create such problems. It's the demons who are willing to lie about the nature of reality. They create such interpretations. And so from Baruch Shem till Yishtabach, we are healing the emotional world and removing the demons from that level of our being so that we can come closer to our core. The emotional world is not as demonic as the practical world. The emotional world, you can reason, you can argue, you can say things. In the physical world, there's no saying and there's no doing. It just is what it is. There's no one to talk to. But in the emotional world, there's always someone to talk to. That's the nature of emotions. Emotions and speech, speech and emotion. The emotion is the feminine side of that world, and speech is the masculine side of that world. If we want to help that world, we need to come from the masculine side of that world to help that world. And then we'll see it in the feminine side. It will show up. With the right speech, the right emotions will eventually show up. The reason the emotions are wrong is because the speech has been wrong. And so these are both sides of the Olam HaYetzirah. It's the world of formation. It's what we form in the spirit through speech. And that's what results in emotions. Now we're going into the Olam HaBriya, the Olam HaMachshava. So we go through the practical. We've eliminated all the demons in the practical. We go to the emotional. We've eliminated the demons in the emotional. We go to the world of perception. And there are beliefs. And so over there we say Yotzerori V'Orei Choshech. This is speaking about the world of perception. And over there we are describing the angels and how the angels all give praise to the source. And by doing that, we're eliminating the demons, because the demons are not giving praise to the source. That you can be certain of. The demons have problems with the source. The demons believe that they're smarter than the source. It's due to the source's lack of intelligence that the demon appears. He comes to save you from the source. Just listen to me and you'll be safe. He doesn't know what he's doing. You're in a lot of trouble. Listen to me and you'll be totally safe, because you'll know you're in a lot of trouble. And I'm not going to tell you what to do about it either. I'm just telling you you're in a lot of trouble. If you listen to me, you're safe. The Creator, what does He know? Don't trust Him. That's the nature of the demonic. Anybody ever had a demonic thought? And so when we come to the Yichud, we're exterminating the demons on the level of perception. there's one. There's only was one, there only was one, there only will be one, and he is good to himself. Why would he be anything else? And all the thoughts about things that are different are coming from the demonic. The thoughts are so powerful that they will create demonic manifestations. Our bodies are already the result that came after our thoughts. And so we will see in the world the results of the demonic. All the hospitals are filled with the results of the demonic. Everything that we suffer from are results of the demonic. But first, where does the demonic show up in order to gain control, in order to gain power? First, in the world of perception, in the world of thought, we have to say yes to something. We have to believe in it in order to make it real. And then it comes in. Then it becomes. And so all that's wrong with humanity is ill in a much deeper way than simply ones that are in the hospital. Every single one on this planet is very, very ill. And this is in a place that is at the root of who we are. It's much deeper than our bodies. When someone is ill in the hospital, he's not as bad a shape as the way that we are all ill. If someone has spiritual vision, he wouldn't see someone in the hospital more ill than someone outside of the hospital. They're all ill. There's no distinction. And they're ill because they've been eaten by the demonic. Their soul has been completely destroyed by the demons until they have no soul. They have no compassion. They have no realization of what's taking place and how much we must remember, how much we must feel, how much we must know that this is sacred. This is everlasting. Everything we do counts. Everything we say counts. Everything we think counts. It's huge. It's meaningful. And it must be this way, and it will only be this way. And the Creator was not wrong on a single detail and not one single thing. He was not wrong. He cannot be wrong. Anything that's not demonic would never even attempt to go in that direction to explain anything. That's not a valid direction. Things need explanation, of course. The human heart needs to find peace. But explanation must be about how is this best? Why was the intention of the Creator that this is best? Never will it be, oh, here the Creator was wrong. That cannot be the right answer. That answer removes the soul. It completely decapitates it. Because if the soul cannot rely on that, if the soul cannot rely on the design of the one who created it, then what could it possibly lean on? If all the people in the world would come and say, you're safe, we'll make sure of it, it won't help even one bit. The people in the world cannot help us against what we're up against. And so if there's a flaw in the design, there's absolutely nothing to lean on. There's nothing. No science and no explanations and no testings and no types of theories. Nothing can possibly keep us safe. Anyone that's leaning on anything like that is absolutely not safe. The only thing that we can lean on is that the one who designed perfectly. That's the only way to save the soul. There's no other path. And this is what we remember in the Yichud. This is why we say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. This is what our life is about. Our ancestors said, if you don't let me believe this, then I don't want to be here. They didn't just say it with their mouth. They said it with their bodies. They said it with their bodies burning. If you don't let me believe this, I don't want to be here. Because this is our hope. This is our truth. This is why we are. And if we don't have it, then what do we have? Where do we have? Where can we go? What can we lean on? Who can save us? And so that's on the level of Bria, that we praise the angels that are doing the service, that are keeping reality real, even while we are dreaming. And then we remember the love of the Creator for creation, the love of the Creator for the people, the love of the Creator for the soul, the love of the Creator for the Shekhinah. First we have to know He is real before we can become emotional about His love. If there's still some ounce of doubt about if the design was accurate or if He knows what He's doing, there's certainly not going to be any love. And so love comes after. Love comes after security. Security comes first. And so then we come to the yichud, then we come to the unification. If we love, He's already loving and loving and loving and waiting to love. He loves so much, He's doing it. Even while we're punching Him in the face, He's doing it. That's His love. His love is steady. His love we can lean on. And so then we come to the yichud. Before the yichud we say how much He loves us. That's to awaken the desire. After the yichud we say how much we love Him. V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol moedecha. You should return the love. Because if you do, then everything will be perfect. It will all be a blessing. And if you don't, everything will be terrible and it will all be a curse. And then we say that we must always remember this. And that's why we wear tzitzis. We must always remember this. This is our protection. This is our clothing. This is what we have. This is what gives us continuance. This is what gives us purpose. This is what gives us hope. This is what gives us meaning. This is what gives us desire. Once he comes to Shemona Esrei, then he's completely united. There's a unification, there's intimacy. There's kissing and hugging. There's a togetherness. That's after we've done all the work, after the unification, after the Shema. So when he gets to this level, when he gets to the Amidah, which represents the Atzilus, Yafshit es atzmei min hagashmis, k'ma shekoseh b'Chaim siman tzadik ches, yu'en sham. He should be mafshit atzmei min hagashmis, meaning that he should remove all of his clothing, all of his coverings, all of the demons that were till now covering him and not allowing him to see the nature of reality. When it comes to the actual unification, he removes everything. There's no one there. There's nothing there. There's just essence. In our essence, that's where we meet the source. Whenever we're making noise, that's when we're using the source to make that noise. And then we're facing the noise, we're not facing the source. And noise means thoughts. Noise is even sensations. Anything within perception. And the essence is coming forth. It's not looking back at the source. And so perception needs to be focused on source in order for the unification to take place. Perception needs to cleanse itself from drawings and focus on source. And that means simply the quiet perception, which is a process. Perception is going after the inner workings of the soul. And so as long as there are things that the soul has deemed important, perception cannot turn itself off, because perception is busy with the most important. Perception is constantly solving problems on all levels. And so the attention is being taken to wherever there is a problem. And so as we try to come back, we face all these different layers that have been separating us from source. They separate us because they distract us, because they take our energy, they take our creative power, and they make us create ourselves in their image. So if we have a problem, if there's a bill and we don't know how we're going to pay it, we're recreating ourselves in that image over and over again. Whether it's once an hour, once a day, or it could be more often if we're under pressure. And the soul is literally putting itself into that form in order to remember. Because this process was deemed important. It was deemed important by the internal process of the soul. And so now, if the soul is going to try to become quiet, all these urges, all these unfinished business is going to appear. And then it goes deeper and deeper. There are layers of unfinished business. There's unfinished business that's been an open file for a decade, and I haven't gotten to it because there was so much other unfinished business that I couldn't get to this unfinished business. And so as we're trying to become quiet, we're going to be going back to all of this, because this unfinished business also stands between creator and creation. The fact that 10 years passed doesn't mean that it's not between, it's exactly in that space. It's just that it's a very silent humming. But if we're going to try to be silent, suddenly we're going to hear that humming. And so when he comes to the place where he's completely uniting, is bespashtus agashmis, he removes all the clothing, all the different forms that his soul has dressed in a way of trying to put form on what's taking place. Now it's withdrawing from that form. Now it's coming back to the original source. And that's where it's meeting its maker. That's where it's meeting its creator. The creator is everything in you that you didn't create. Everything in you that you didn't create is the creator, because who else made it? You didn't make it. And so every form of thought, every form of interpretation, every form of speech, these are things that we've learned. These are things that we learned after the creator has made us. These are things that we learned already in this world. That's the place where there's corruption. But before that, everything that we are before that, that's pure creator. That was the design of the creator. That was the intent of the creator. That's the nature of the organs as they balance each other. This is why when a child is in the womb, it's learning the whole Torah. It has a candle on its head, meaning there's a light that it's attached to, and that light is guiding that soul to create for itself a body in the perfect harmony. All the parts that they should work together perfectly in order to contain the soul. And so he's learning the entire Torah. He will know everything just from this process. Then it will come out into the world, and then it's going to start interacting with the world. There's going to be additional information that's going to be on top. And then once it starts focusing on this additional information, thinking that it's more important than what it already knew, then it loses access to the Torah. It sees the people in the world, and naturally it assumes that they are much smarter than it. Little does it know that no, You're the smartest one in the room. Don't listen to them. Because you know the whole Torah. You're original, coming from the designer. This is the way he wanted it. Everything in place. Nobody's manipulated. Nobody's changed anything. It's all exactly the way that it's supposed to be. And then starts the process. And so that place, when it's all exactly the way that it's supposed to be, that's the place of the Amida. That's the place of the Zivug. That's the place where creator and creation unite. That's the place where the Shekhinah remembers her husband. And in that place, if we speak from that place, that's prophecy. That's that spirit. The spirit that we're looking for is the spirit that we have that helped us create our body. And then we lost access to that spirit as soon as we thought that we're going to find our truth outside of ourselves. Because that's what the wise people told us in school. They told us that the truth is in the book, or the truth is in someone else, or if you look at this and you listen to that, what was missing from the teaching was everything you can learn from, yes, but all they can do, the best they can do, is point you what you're supposed to do inside yourself. Never is you somewhere else, and always are you looking for you, but you can look someone else to point you. How do I interact with myself in order to get to where this person got to, in order to get to where the one who gave me this sefer got to? So if I'm looking in the sefer, it's not because I want to become him. It's because he became him so much. I want to become me so much. Maybe within the sefer he can tell me, how can I become more me? And that's the goal of the Torah. The Torah, in the word Anoichi, Chazal tell us, it stands for Ano Nafshi Kozvis Yehovis. Me, my soul, I write and I give. So the Torah is giving us his soul. Meaning, here, I want you to be you. Take my soul and learn how to be you. He's not telling us that he wants us to somehow emulate something that we're not. He's telling us, I want you to be yourself completely. That's the place where we unite. That's the place where if we speak from that place, the Creator himself is speaking. That's the place of prophecy. And all of Klal Yisrael had that moment of prophecy. Anoichi was the ultimate moment of prophecy. He revealed his soul. He allowed us to see that we represent his soul when we are accurately ourselves. When we know how to be us, then we represent him. Not just here between ourselves. Here, of course, but in all the worlds. For all the angels. The worlds above and the worlds below. Everything is ready to listen to man. The condition is man representing the will of the Creator, or did man go off on a tangent? Is man in conflict with his own nature? Man in conflict with his own nature, completely different style of management. All the angels have their orders. Dealing with man, when he's according to the Creator, they bow to man and they do his will. Dealing with man that is in conflict with the Creator, oh, there they enforce the laws. Very strict laws. ואז מס התחיל למים נקפן, ואחר כך בו מים דיכרין וילד הזכר. So, Isha ki sazria v'yoled zocher. When the woman is the one that's calling for intimacy, then the child comes from a deeper source. Because this is the nature of the design, is that from the woman should come an awakening, and then it comes forth. And so when we, creation, awaken the desire, then comes forth blessings from a deeper source. מה שאין כן, כשבא לאדם מסוירס מעצמו, אז חל לשון אומר על עצמו בסוד ותפילוסתי הלכתו, ותקון לזה כשיאללה לי בזויס ויחד בחרד הגדול ויספר למקורק הלב. So if we awaken the spirit, that it's coming from the side of the female, this is a proper connection. This is a holy connection. But if we don't know how to awaken the desire, we're not understanding our role in this relationship, and then the male is already frustrated and therefore he shows up, this is not the best way for an interaction to take place. And so a proper interaction begins with the female, because the female is the one receiving, and she has to show that she is willing to receive, and that's when it makes sense that the one who wants to fulfill and make her happy, he comes as a reaction to her desire. But if the one who is supposed to be the one who is mashpia, is the one who is giving, and he starts by looking for who to give to, this is already a process that's going from the opposite side, and so it's less favorable. And so that the metaphor represents between the Shechina and the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that when a soul within the Shechina remembers Creator and therefore is prepared for him and wants to come close to him, then when Creator appears, this is the natural way. This shows that there's a proper bond between the two, that this is a loving couple. But if the soul within the Shechina is distracted from Creator, she is not concerned about him, she's not thinking about him, and suddenly there's a problem, or suddenly there's an issue, and then she's like, oh Creator, where are you? And so that's the opposite. That's like Creator showed up. The female wasn't looking for it. It's the male that's coming and saying, hey, remember, we have a relationship, right? And so when the male shows up and says, remember, we have a relationship, that shows that the female somehow missed the clues. She wasn't really paying attention to the relationship enough. And so it says, what's the tikkun? How do you repair if it came to be so that suddenly there's this urges that's coming from another place, and it's not really starting from your own heart. Suddenly you feel that you got something that's coming from somewhere else, from somewhere higher. So how do you somehow overcome that so that you can now come back to the relationship? So he says, by remembering this fact. This is how. By remembering that this is not the way that it's supposed to be, so then you start having this conversation with Source. Oh, I'm sorry I forgot you. I'm sorry that I was distracted from our relationship. I'm sorry that I took all the things you dressed up as to be something other than you, until I almost thought that they're more important than you. And so by bringing this into awareness, by having a conversation about it, then we can repair the damage within the relationship. But the right way is, like you said, we are the ones waking up. So we start from the beginning of the davening, from Asiyah. We start removing the clippers, we start removing the lies, we start looking for something deeper, something more real, for a way to connect to the truth, for a way to feel safe, so that we can awaken the love. Then we go to the emotional and we say the Zmiris, and we are machris the koitzim, we remove all the thorns that are causing us to resist and have uncomfortable feelings towards reality. And then we go to the spiritual, to the intellectual, to the beliefs, to the angels, to the process of how they're all glorifying the Creator, and they all realize and recognize His wisdom. They're all the parts of creation recognize His wisdom and surrender to His will. This is always happening. And so we bring our awareness to that, so that we can learn from that, so that we, in our own level of perception, can return to that unity. And then we awaken the love that He has for us. We unite Him. We remind ourselves of the love that we want to have for Him. We remember that if we have that, then everything will be a blessing, and if we don't have that, everything will be a curse. And then from there we remember some of the miracles he did for us, and we go into the Amidah, we go into the Zivug, where we're uniting, where within one body there will be a soul of the Creator and a soul of creation together. And from there we create, from there we bring forth Shefa. And so that's the right approach to the Zivug, that's the right approach to unification, because there it's us that are coming and starting and showing desire and showing interest. And we're not waiting for something to appear. We remember, we know our role, we know who we are, we know why we're here, we know what's meant to be happening. We don't wait for life to push us around in order to say, so that's what you meant. So that's what you wanted. We look for life, we look for a way to awaken the love, to remember our real relationship with what's happening over here. As soon as we leave the body, we're going to remember our real relationship with what's happening over here. It's not like there's some type of a doubt about this relationship. It's a very clear commitment that we've made to this process and to this place and to everything that's involved with what's going on over here. But the demons can make us forget. The demons can tell us a whole different story. They can deny very simple, basic facts. They have no problem. They have no shame. And as long as we accept them, as long as we base our culture as if what the demons are saying is real, as if, God's left the earth, there's no real way of making sense of what's taking place, everybody just does whatever they want to get ahead, and then eventually, they'll find some excuse to get out of whatever comes their way. And so our culture is literally based on that. And obviously the secular culture is completely deteriorating and has a complete animosity towards the way that the nature was designed, the way that we were created, like the type of species that we are. But even in communities that are supposed to be worshiping the Creator, whether it's in our religion or other religions, this is the culture is very much based on not trusting the Creator. And the culture is very much based on, if you do what everybody's doing, you'll just get away with it, just like everybody gets away with it, not realizing that, this is not where you see if you got away with it or not. This is not here that you can notice who got away with what. There's a whole process that comes after here. That's where we have to face reality. As long as we haven't faced reality, we don't know if we got away with something or we didn't get away with something. Facing reality could happen here for some very fortunate individuals, but mostly it doesn't happen here. And so only that process tells us if we did okay or we didn't do okay and what's safe to do. The fact that people have been doing it for thousands of years and they continue doing it doesn't mean it's safe in any way whatsoever. If it offends the real nature of what's taking place over here, there's nothing less safe. If it somehow puts us at odds with the will that created life, then of course there's going to be consequences, because we're going to one day absorb the truth. We're going to one day realize that we are the truth, we were the truth, we always will be the truth, we've simply forgotten the truth. And so that truth is what we're trying to unite with. And when we unite with that truth, there's a zivug, because then we represent the truth. When we represent the truth, then we can take the truth towards its destiny. We can become the truth. We can represent the truth. That's the nature of prophecy. And this is what awaits humanity. As soon as we get released from our ignorance, as soon as the demonic no longer has power over humanity, over our souls, then all of us will be prophets. And this is going to come, according to some, before the final redemption. This is going to be the process that leads to the final redemption. May it happen soon.